In today's educational landscape, teachers are constantly seeking innovative ways to enhance their students' learning experience. Artificial intelligence has become a popular tool for achieving this goal, and teachers often request various educational tasks from AI platforms. In today's video, I'll be comparing 3 of the top AI chatbots: ChatGPT by OpenAI, Microsoft Bing AI, and the newly released Google Bard. Now, you've probably been hearing lots about these chatbots, and today we're going to put them head to head. Welcome to the ultimate AI showdown. Now, before we begin, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. So I wanted to put them all side by side and ask them the same questions and figure out which one is potentially more helpful to educators right now. Now, let's note, these are really quick moving tools. ChatGPT is 6 months old and Bard is still in its beta phase, so it's all going to continue to improve. I think we're all aware of the ChatGPT layout, so let's start by pointing out some visual differences between the design of Bing with ChatGPT and Google Bard. Now, the new version of Bing appears to be a polished product that's designed for widespread use, whereas Google Bard looks like a typical Google offering. It's tidy and it's organized. When using Bing with ChatGPT, you're limited to 20 queries in one conversation, and there's also a creative versus precise slider for conversation style. On the other hand, when you're typing into Google Bard, your question doesn't display on screen. Instead, the answer arrives at a pause accompanied by options such as a thumbs up or down and links to more information. Additionally, 3 drafts of each response are available so that you can see some of the rejected answers. So a couple of things to note before we dive into this. What I've done is I've got an extension on my ChatGPT known as WeChatGPT, and it allows it access to the internet. And in this week alone, I got access to Bard after being on the waitlist. So just to start with, I'm going to ask it simple questions. And I'm going to ask it questions that I know the answer to. And in this case, I'm going to ask it to define photosynthesis. So what I've done with this then for ChatGPT that we use first, I've given it 5 results because from my experience, what I found with using Bing is I generally come back with 3 to 5 websites as that. And the response then, I've got 5 different references that I can see. Super quick, that came back real quick. All right, so let's move on then to have a look at Bing and see how that does. All right, taking a little bit more time with this. But one of the things I like about it is it kind of just types it out so you can read it as it goes. Again, I've got 1, 2, 3 references with this. A little bit shorter than ChatGPT's, but if we have a look at it, green plants, some other organisms use sunlight to synthesize nutrients from carbon dioxide and water. Yeah, that's right. Produces glucose, yeah, and oxygen as products. Great. Photosynthesis takes place inside chloroplasts, small objects inside plant cells that contain a green substance, chlorophyll, traps the light energy needed. So yeah, in terms of a very simple definition of it, absolutely fine. Okay, yeah, so like I said, when you get Google Bard, it just literally takes a bit of time and then it just hits you with the answer. So this one is a lot longer, but let's just go through it and see whether it's as accurate. Green plants, sunlight, water, carbon dioxide create oxygen and energy in the form of sugar. Green chlorophyll, green pigment, yeah. Spent to water molecules, hydrogen, oxygen, yeah. And then it's gone on to actually go a lot deeper into this now because you can see light dependent. So we're talking A-level now, A-level stuff, so light dependent, Kelvin cycle. But again, you'd be asking it more questions, and if you were a younger kid. Yeah, it's an interesting one for this one. Bard has definitely gone in more detail than the other 2, but it's only given me one source, whereas Bing, ChatGPT, not as much depth, but has given me more of the sources that I can go and refer to. But for this one, just because of obviously the pure depth that it's given me in comparison, I would say that Bard takes this. In terms of the clearer answer, most understandable answers, ChatGPT and Bing, hands down. So for this next one, I'm just going to ask it to name some ecosystems. Again, the speed of ChatGPT, real quick. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again, like I asked for, and it's given me 5 different types of ecosystems. So oceanic, Amazon, terrestrial, aquatic, desert, yeah, and it's given me a little description for each one as well in terms of what it includes, and it states quite nicely actually. These are just some of the examples. Again, so this time Bard's come back with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different. Again, very simple naming terms. but it's also given those descriptions. So oceans, ecosystems that cover more than 70% of the Earth's surface, home to a vast diversity of plants and animals, fish, coral reefs and whales. Really, really nice description there and information for any student or teacher that was looking to use this. So what I found is the speed of Bing is a lot slower than coming back than the other two. But let's go. So this differently, it's given me a description of what an ecosystem is. It's got the references on there, which I kind of like as well. Actually, all of them have had that, the reference to the points. But now this is the depth. Yeah, this is coming back with a lot more like types of. So we've got polar, mountain, tundra, temperate forest, grasslands, tropical rainforests. So the examples, given a lot more examples, deserts, and it's describing them in terms of their climate, temperature, humidity, rainfall. Hasn't really described what they are though in comparison to the other ones. The other ones described what the ecosystems were, whereas let's say the temperate forest, it's not told me about the species, it's not told me in terms of animals, plants that may live there or describing the ecosystem. It's actually given me more of an example of the climate. So again, I like the depth, I like it's got the references, it's given me a lot more to go off, but in comparison, hasn't really described them for me and making it easy for me to be able to say what a temperate forest is, what a grassland is in comparison to in comparison to Bard and in comparison to ChatGPT. So Bing, again, great depth, great references, but isn't as clear as ChatGPT or Google Bard. I'm going to ask it now, a slightly different one, come off education. I'm going to ask it about rugby. So who is the top point scorer in rugby union? Okay, so again, ChatGPT fires back real quick. Dan Carter, yeah. A little bit about him in terms of all time. Brian O'Driscoll, okay. Ronan O'Gara. See, I think that recently changed. We've just had that, if you're not a rugby fan, but I think he may have just been overtaken actually. So that one might be wrong. Okay, so again, same answer, which is correct. This time though, it's given me more, he's given me the points, how many tests he played, and a little bit more information about Dan Carter himself, World Player of the Year. So this time I've moved over to a more balanced approach. Let's see what it comes back with now, see if it's any different. Okay, so yeah, Dan Carter, it's giving me the same number of points as Bard did, followed by Johnny Wilkinson, great, and Owen Farrell in third. So again, different responses. Let's see if it changes if I move it into more creative actually. So according to Wikipedia, go off that one, Dan Carter, 1598 points, 112 matches, time frame, Johnny Wilkinson in second, 90, okay, and then third, Owen Farrell. And that's according to Wikipedia, so it's referenced it there. There's no rugby websites taken from it. But again, 3 different answers in that respect, in that what I got from ChatGPT, it told me about, Dan Carter, didn't tell me any points, and then but then told me about try scorers and so on, so kind of went off a little bit. Both Bard and Bing told me about, obviously Dan Carter leading point scorer, but only Bing then told me who was second, who was third, and with how many points. So I think for simple answers, it's pretty much a tie. As you can see, you've got different variations from each one, and for each question, I think there was probably an individual winner for each one there. So I think for simple answers, it's a tie. All right, so now I'm going to move on and I'm going to ask it some more complex questions, general things that teachers would ask for. So let's start with, give some examples of retrieval practice I can use in my lesson. Okay, so yeah, it gives an example. So these can be used individually or in groups to involve students with the lesson and concepts. They help students organise. So it's given me examples, and that's all I kind of asked for. In terms of how I can use them, probably would need some more prompting in terms of getting those descriptions of being clear of what I can do, but it's given me a starting point, which is great. Okay, same thing. So I've got quizzes and exams, flashcards, concept maps, but this time journaling discussions. So some different ones there, but it's actually given some better descriptions of how these can be used. So for me as a teacher, let's say flashcards, Students can create flashcards with questions on one side and the answers on the other. So it's actually given a description of how they can be used and what to do with it. Even though it's quite simple, that in itself is better than what ChatGPT gave. So references are there, so I can go and look at the websites. These are some of the ones: Teacherhead, yeah, Cult of Pedagogy, Retrieval Practice. So different types of quizzes that we've got there. Self-explanation, so that's a different one. Demonstration performance, tell the story, rehearse the explanation. Again, coming out with the descriptions of this. So if you were asking this as a teacher, it actually gives you the insight of how you can use this and the types of things you can do with it. So let's think: concept maps, graphical organizers, create visual representation, concepts, connections they've learned. You can have them compare their maps or organizers with a model, peer, or a teacher. You probably need a little bit more information on that. Like, all three of them have given sort of basics of it. I think Bard and Bing were much better. I'm probably saying Bing's at the end was again the best because it's drawn on more references and websites that I know of and would use myself. But for all three of them, there's basic, I think Bing being that, there's a basic explanation there for it, a description, but you would probably want to then continue the prompts to find out more about it as well as you went through. All right, continuing with the teacher tasks, I'm going to ask it to create a lesson plan, procedure, materials, assessments, objectives, so things that you can make a basic framework out of for a lesson plan. Extension tasks, pretty cool. Okay, so pretty decent in that one from ChatGPT. Okay, similar, we've got lesson objectives, we've got resources. Let's go have a look. Procedure-wise, got a procedure with timings on it as well, which is useful. Again, they're ideas. In the lesson plans, you get given ideas. So for example, in the conclusion, summarize the main points, answer any questions. Okay, what else do we have? Natural selection, yeah. Explain the process of natural selection using pictures, discuss how natural selection leads to. So again, it's given me an idea. I'd still have to go and look at what these things are. So it is that, it's an outline of a lesson plan. It's not the details, it's not all the resources that come into it. Okay, slightly different layout to the other two. Got a warm-up activity. You can use the knowledge organizer from something. See, this is now pretty good because it's where it's referencing things, or websites, it's giving you the link and saying, right, you can go here and use this. Use information from number 2 to explain each type of evidence. So I've not clicked on these myself, but it's a slightly different approach to what the other two have been, because when it's going through the types of activities or tasks, for example, you can use information from this web page to explain each type of evidence and show some examples. So slightly different. The layout from Bing is also different. So I've not got learning outcomes. I've not got any form of differentiation or extension, but it is the basis of a lesson plan. You would have to just put it into the format that you wanted. It is a tricky one. It depends on what you want from lesson plan. I like the way that ChatGPT and I like the way that Bard have laid it out in terms of kind of hierarchical. You start with the lesson objectives, you come down to the materials you want, and then it goes through procedures or tasks during the lesson. You've got extensions, differentiations, and it's giving you ideas, and you can obviously go through and ask it more to get that. Bing's was a slightly different approach to it, which was good, and you might kind of blend the Bing ideas with some of the other ones together. So take the references you've got from Bing and the ideas and bring them over into ChatGPT or Bard, but I think I kind of prefer the way they've done it to how the word Bing have done it for this one. Now I'm going to ask it about research being evidence-informed practice, see what type of articles it can come out with, if at all. So, okay, so ChatGPT, instead of actually giving me the articles, is giving me the links to certain articles. So 10 most significant education studies for 2021. That's kind of reinforcing that notion of ChatGPT, even though it's connected to the internet, going up to 2021. But it's still relevant. It's coming back with these websites, which I can go and look at, that have, evidence-based teaching strategies, definitions of evidence in practice. So it's still relevant. It's still coming out with things that are going to be useful for me to go and look into. And actually, it's kind of good with it because I'm not taking it purely from ChatGPT now. It's giving me access to internet ones that I can go and view. So, it's not exactly what I asked it for, but I still have some semblance of relevance to it. Okay, so Bard has started to list out What have we got here? Okay, these last few, all sort of very much the same. I would never come across. National Association of Special Education, NSA. So social studies instruction. So not what I was looking for there. I'm looking for things that bring in research and evidence. So things like Rosenshines that people talk about, retrieval, Vygotsky, the ones we're all accustomed to and would expect it to see. So no, disappointed with Bard on that one there. Okay, so Bing's approached it similar to how ChatGPT has, and it's given me the websites that I can go and look at. 4 of them. Okay. Blog posts. You've got something from that. But again, probably hasn't answered the questions that, or at least given me a doorway to go through. Interestingly then, ChatGPT has given the best responses for those, or at least the most useful, the websites you can click on, go and use. None of the 3 of them actually listed off any useful articles that you could dive into and read. But saying that, I have tried this previously with ChatGPT, and you do have to refine the prompt for it to come through and give you like the top educational journals, research articles relevant to the types of things we want and expect to see. That's just refining the prompt with it. But actually, ChatGPT is giving them the more useful information than over the 3 of them. And for the last part of this test, something else that teachers are asking for is to do with feedback. So I'm going to ask it to create a feedback rubric for GCSE biology on the topic of, I'm going to do food tests. Let's do food testing, see what it can do for that. Okay, so ChatGPT has just smashed it out so quickly. References, top 5, got those, real mix of different things. BBC Bite Size has come up. Top 5, okay, looks pretty good, but tabulate. So let's see if we can put it into a table then. Ask it to put it into a table for us, see how this looks. Okay, basically this is one of those things you'd have to play around with, I think, to get the type of table that you want. But overall, knowledge, what we've got: accuracy, completeness, attention to safety, types of things you would look for. There's nothing there sort of related to food tests though. Okay, yeah, this is, I was not expecting this. That's pretty impressive. Knowledge and understanding, scientific skills, communication skills, and overall. Right, let's have a look at it. 1 to 4. But I think it uses food tests, but it's not come out with like GCSE food testing, like things like you're testing for glucose, testing for fats, testing for proteins, and the different tests. Again, it's one of those you'd probably have to give it more prompting to get to it. But the layout from this and how it's done, yeah, that's I'm impressed. I was not expecting it to be that good. Oh, I don't like the look of this already. Like, information coming out from it, yeah, the layout. Oh, but Benedict's test, yeah, that's one we need to know how to do it. Amazing. Iodine test, ethanol. Oh geez, yeah, like the information here, amazing. And you can see the references. It's obviously taking it from like Bite Size, Save My Exams. So the information coming out of Bing, amazing. Like that's top notch. It's just the layout of it. I can't go over the layout. Content wise there, fantastic. If you could blend the Bing content with the Bard layout, you'd be onto a winner. But yeah, that's impressive content, just the layout. It's not really a rubric, it's not what I've asked for. And there you have it, a comparison of the 3. It's kind of hard to pick a clear winner for that. I think from a simple questions, all 3 of them are pretty good. They gave different answers. I think as you move up into more complex, depending on what you're asking for, Bard really impressed me. Bing's content, fantastic. It struggles with tables, obviously. But I just like the references. I think teachers, when we talk about ethics and transparency and checking things are accurate, I really like the fact that Bing gives you the references. And if you go on and get the Chrome extension for ChatGPT, that will give you references as well. But it is interesting what's the date of the websites and things it's going to, whether that's just up to 2021 or it's fully using the internet to go up to current dates. I need to explore that a little bit further. But overall with that, I'd be interested to hear, what your thoughts on these are, and what you think is the best one for the types of things that you do in teaching and education, whatever types of resources you make. So hit me up in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are, which you like the best. But for that, guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.